Okay, well, Fred and I had a road trip here and in July.
Road trip in July in Florida.
Fortunately, mosquitoes just didn't show up.
Amazingly,
yeah.
only one place. The only other thing we did have to worry about was ticks.
Yeah, we got the ticks. There was when we stepped out of the Odyssey in River Rise. There was a mosquito immediately came in there, and I put on bug spray and stuff,
Right.
but we weren't bothered at all, even though it was quite damp. There was quite wet on the way back, but no mosquitoes. So
No,
I'm
amazingly
surprised.
so.
Anyway, we went to it was River Rise. We went to Oleno, and an interesting Oleno State Park, and these were all state parks. Oleno is where the Santa Fe River disappears and reappears again in River Rise 3 miles later. It actually goes into a sink and then comes back. I was curious why the name Oleno. The name of the town that was originally there was Keno. They had applied at one point, and this goes back in, I guess, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, for a post office. It was turned down because of the name Keno, because of association with gambling, so they named the town Leno. The railroad then, a couple of years later, bypassed the town, and the town died and became a ghost town. Everybody moved away, and the state eventually acquired it as a state park. It was
And
actually...
even before that, CCC came in, the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Right, it was the headquarters for the Civilian Conservation Corps, and there is a suspension bridge there which is currently closed while they're doing repairs on it, but it was built by the CCC. But the name Oleno, apparently people in the area was calling it Old Leno, and that got corrupted to Oleno. So it's not Irish.
That's why they adopted the name for the state park.
So the park became named as Oleno. But we also, this was in the High Springs area. It's not too far from Orlando, so if you come and visit one of the theme parks, this is someplace maybe a little bit off the beaten track, and certainly better for photography. Although we didn't really see much in the way of wildlife when we were there. We had lots of argiope and banana spiders, but other than that, there were manatees in Blue Springs, and also I should mention there's 2 Blue Springs in Florida, and they're about 2.5 hours apart. There's Gilchrist Blue Springs,
which is further north.
Yeah, that's basically a big swimming area, and it's right next to Jenny Springs where I used to dive. And then there is the Blue Springs that we went to, which is another place I used to scuba dive back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Before it became a park in 72.
Yeah, it became a park in 1972. And also Jacques Cousteau had done a special on the manatees coming up. But surprisingly, even though the manatees are generally only there in the winter, there were a lot of manatees.
There was looked like a family because we saw the cow and a calf, and at least probably one male, and then maybe been a couple of others.
Yep.
My theory is that water stays at about 72 degrees year-round.
Yeah.
And the Gulf and the Atlantic have been very warm, which is why our storms have gotten any of our
It's
tropical
kind
storms.
of ironic because...
So I think they decided this is a lot cooler than...
Yeah, well, the manatee often come in there to be warm in the winter because the Gulf gets much cooler.
Right.
And now they may be there to get cool in the
That's what I'm
summer.
thinking. Smart
They may
manatees.
just stay there year round.
They told the guys,
"Oh,
the rest of the manatees, you guys can stay. We're going where it's nice and cool.
The funny thing is, in that part of the river, the Blue Run that goes into the Santa Fe, there really isn't anything to eat for them. They have to go back into the river.
Right, a little further down.
And we also saw some big alligator gars.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, they're doing some work on the banks, fixing it up. And it's all closed to all water activities. You can still kayak and canoe in the river
And hike.
but not in the Blue Springs. So
anyway, the idea is once they stabilize the ground, not only in the
It'll
swimming
be
area,
opened back up.
but around the actual spring where the bubbles up itself, the boil, they will be able to open it back up, and it'll be a lot safer for people to recreate around.
And
also it keeps the spring and the run intact.
with an exception. If there are manatees in the river, no water activities in the run.
Right.
So even if it were open now, because there were manatees in there, and if they do stay there year round, there may not be any more swimming or water activities in that part of the
We'll have to see how they rule on that. They may, if the swimming area is cordoned off well enough, and there's a place kind of an avenue or a cut through where the manatees don't have to swim through the swimming area, they may open it up. Stay tuned if we find out anything about that.
Yep.
And the one thing about the state parks is that anybody that we've ever talked to, any of the rangers and people that work and volunteer there, have always been very friendly and very knowledgeable and willing to explain and answer any questions.
Yep.
So it makes it fun for us, and it makes it enjoyable for us to take our photography soirees in these areas.
Well, now that we've told you, why don't we show you?
Yeah,
Let's go do that.
do it.
Well, hi, Fred and I are in the High Springs area, and obviously we're at Oleno State Park. And we want to stop here first. This is an interesting stop if you're in the High Spring, Gainesville area, because, you want to tell them why, Fred?
Well, the Santa Fe River,
Mhm.
now I got to get it backwards. It basically disappears here, right?
It vanishes here. Yeah, it actually
goes
goes
underground.
and it comes up 3 miles from here in River Rise State Park.
Which is, I'm sure, why they call it River Rise. Makes
That would
sense.
be a good reason.
So I don't know if I would try to
Yeah, I don't
dive
that you would
the 3 miles.
That 3 miles under there, or hold your breath for 3 miles. Anyway, thought it was interesting, so we're going to go check out Oleno State Park here, and also there's supposed to be some
Some neat
good
stuff to
chance
see.
of
Yeah.
wildlife and stuff here, as well as
So.
the Santa Fe River. So again, if you're in the Gainesville area, this is something you want to add.
Kind of a hidden spot that if you,
Yeah.
you have to look for it a little bit, but it's not as hard to find as you think, and you may get rewarded for your efforts.
Yeah, and it is part of the state park system, so that's something to keep in mind too. There is an entrance fee, $5 or $6 per car, unless you have a state park pass.
Right, and if you're going to be in Florida exploring a lot of the parks, and there are so many in Florida, it's worth the purchase.
Yep. All right, well, let's go check and see what we can find here and look for where the river disappears.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, here we are. We got the Santa Fe and the trail in behind us. There was a little something that the ranger told us when we came in. It was like 2.5 miles to where the river finishes, but on the map here, it said, what, 1.4 miles, and another one that said
No, it's
was
0.5
like
to the sink, yeah.
0.5.
That's to the
So
sink
maybe she was
itself.
talking about a round trip on the entire trail. I'm not sure, but
Exactly.
we're going to go and
Yeah.
check that out and see what we got. We got the bridge. I believe this is where the trail begins here, and this is the Santa Fe River. So we're going to go. Let's go.
Check it out.
Let's go take a hike.
All right.
All right. People have told us to take a hike in the past, but I think they're referring to something else. Okay, we're going to go hike.
Okay.
Yeah, the bridge back here was built in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and so it's in a little bit of disrepair. They have closed the bridge for safety reasons. So
Because it's damaged, so
it's
it needs to be
damaged.
rebuilt.
It needs some tender loving care. And the state park systems, like a lot of parks, have budget crunches, so it's probably trying to work up the money in order to do the necessary repair. So we're going to go ahead, and there is a detour around here, and take that. But just keep in mind that you might want to check that the old hanging bridge may not be open when you come. And this is July 2024, and right now the bridge is closed. One of the things I was going to mention, that this is the end of July, and it is hot. But I'm kind of surprised so far no mosquitoes or bugs. At least they're not bothering me. How about you? There goes a lizard.
Yeah, there's some stuff flying around, but it hasn't really been bothering me very much.
You got some, Archaeopteryx spider.
Oh, a tropical orb web weaver,
Tropic.
sometimes known as a banana spider.
Yeah. Anyway,
Captured a cicada.
cicada, which I hear. Do you hear anything in the background? I don't really hear much of anything. Maybe that was the last of them. Okay, well, anyway, just keep in mind that if you come to Florida in July, it is going to be hot.
Or August.
And a lot of places it's going to be swarming with mosquitoes, and we're
So
rather
take
fortunate.
your insecticide, I mean your
Yeah,
insect spray
bug
with you.
repellent, yeah. Yeah, we got a gopher tortoise here that's come in here and got himself kind of in a bind. He doesn't want to go in the river, and if you find a gopher tortoise, do not put them in the water because they're not water turtles. They will drown. And so we're going to try to put this guy up where he belongs, because these are protected tortoises here in Florida.
Where did the river go?
Yeah, well, right in behind us you see the river stops. Or does it? Actually, there is a big sink here, and the river goes down and it comes back up, as we said, in River Rise. And what we figured out, I think what the ranger was talking about, is that if you want to hike here to where the river comes out, it's approximately 2.5, 3 miles. So we're not going to do that. You can drive to River Rise, and from what you read,
The east entrance,
the east entrance is where the river comes back up again.
at least close by.
So
why don't we show them what it looks like here?
yeah, and we were going to use the dory here, but this river is full of, like a lot of rivers in Florida, a tannin, which is a stain from the cypress trees that makes the water brown and kind of dirty.
Let's go. And also, you've got algae
Okay.
out here, because
Yeah, you got
if you notice,
lots
and
of
if you were
duckweed.
looking upstream, and as we were walking down, we saw lots of flow. But when it gets here, the flow seems to stop because now current,
Yeah.
etc., is going underground.
Yes, you probably wouldn't want to go down in here, because if you did, you might get sucked down into the
Yeah, yeah.
have no idea
And of
if
course,
there is a
there are
section or
known alligators in the area.
yeah.
So
Yeah, there's.
Do not feed
This is
and do
Florida.
not-
There's going to be gators. If you
Yeah.
got open water, there's always a chance of,
right.
good chance of alligators. Okay. Well, I'm going to see there's a sign up here. We'll check this out, and then we'll head back, see what we can help this little guy out, see if he'll let us save his butt, because he's not going anywhere where he's at. See, there's a sign right over there that says no swimming, tortoise. Apparently can't
Just
read.
said no swimming.
Yes.
Is it filming? Yeah.
Okay, he is just a beautiful. No, I better not.
Don't do
Poor
it.
Steve Orwin's gone. Okay, come on, come on, buddy. Come on, come on. Oh yeah, I know. Come on, let's take you back up here. Put you someplace. Yeah. Put him up over here. And do me a favor, do not go back over there again. Now, I should mention, in early Florida, they called these were Florida chickens. They used to eat these here in Florida, but they are now protected. So we're gonna let him go here. There we go. Don't you go back down over there. All right, well, this is just a few miles down from the Oleno State Park, and this is, of course, River Rise Preserve State Park. One of the questions we had, I wonder what the difference is between a preserve and just a state park. We'll have to find out.
And this is considered a state park and preserve. Already looking at this east entrance road, it is a gravel track, basically.
Yeah, this is the east entrance, and we understand that Fred read that this is basically where the Santa Fe River comes back up again. Now it was actually quite a drive down from Oleno, even though the two park systems where the river goes under and back up is only 2.5 or 3 miles. So we're going to go in
And check it out.
check this park out. I understand right now that a lot of the trails they say in the swimming areas are closed. They're doing some construction work, but we're going to go check it out anyway. And who knows? The other park was practically empty. I think we ran into maybe a total of 4 people together besides the ranger. So when we are here on a Monday during the day, school is not yet in session, so it's just that nobody's coming to the parks right now.
All right.
Okay, we're heading down the equestrian trail here in River Rise in search of the Santa Fe River. See where it comes up back out of the ground.
Rise.
Yeah, the rise of the river, River Rise. And yeah, this is really, I think the difference between a preserve and a park, this is more of a natural area without the picnic tables and all that other stuff. Well, the state park has picnic tables, and in fact there's no ranger or anything here that we could see, so.
At least at the entrance we came in.
Yeah, at least,
So.
well, at least here at the east entrance, which
Yeah.
I think is probably the primary entrance if this is where the river comes up, so we'll see. Yeah, one more thing I was going to mention here. You notice I've got my hat on. This has got a mosquito net in it. That we got out of the car here and immediately had mosquitoes attack. I don't know if Fred saw any, but I had one that came after me.
Yep.
So, yeah, it seems like all the mosquitoes that we thought were going to be at Oleno are here.
Maybe here. But anyway, it's
at,
good to have your insect
River Rise.
repellent.
So, yeah. So we got a little insect repellent. I got my hat. And just so you know before you come. Well, the hike was a bit further than we thought.
Yes, it was.
Got about 5,000 steps in, but here we go. We made it. A disappearing stream reappears. So let's go see where it reappears. And here we go. Watch for gators. But this is where the river comes back up. Ah, sorry about that. Watch for the Argiops.
Oh, he's right there.
I know. He was on me. Still got the web on me. Yeah, watch for spiders. I didn't, sorry. Well, that's a banana spider. Look at this big as Fred. Well, that's what you get for building your... Oh, something just went down over there. So here it is. This is where the river reappears. I suspect that was a sink at one time, that the river came down and then came back up here at another location, and it flows down to the Swanee. And again, if you can go over here, you can see why we were going to do the underwater dory, but the water has a lot of tannin in it. It's not all that clear. So we're going to save that for the springs. You can see my stuff for the, yeah. Well, our final stop on our trip is Blue Springs. I had to stop here because back in the 60s, we used to camp and scuba dive here. Of course, none of the rest of this was not a state park at that point. And so I want to kind of take a look at it. And right now, it is closed for any water activities. Swimming, I guess you can kayak and canoe, but as far as entering the water, that's not permitted at the moment.
They're working on restoring the shoreline.
Yeah, the shoreline's being restored. Back in the 60s, also, Jacques Cousteau did a special here because manatee come up here in the wintertime, and he was concerned about human activity here with the manatee around. So we're going to go take a look and see if I remember anything from way back 50-some years ago.
There you go. Fish.
Oh my, I had to stop and take this. This is the old road, the entrance, that how we used to came back in here in the 60s. It's still there. It's unbelievable. And there it is, Blue Springs. You see they're doing heavy construction where I'm standing right now, right in this area, right in here. This is where we would camp. And of course then we would haul our tanks down here.
Well, that's what's happened to your springs right now. Long stick, you can put that thing in the water.
Well, even though this is July, there's actually manatees here today, which is unbelievable. There's actually quite a few of them.
Yep.
And
it is humid, ladies and gentlemen.
It is, yeah, it's muggy. There's also a couple of big alligator gars that we saw swimming around in here.
It's pretty clear, a little tough for photography.
And I mentioned to Fred that we used to camp and dive here in the wintertime, and I never saw manatees, even though it was in the 60s when Cousteau did his special on Blue Springs.
Hi, if you enjoyed this video, please go down here, subscribe.
Here.
There you are. Subscribe. Give us a comment. Even hit a like.
And if you want to be notified when we post new ones, hit the little bell down there too.
Yeah. Ding, ding.